Look, for me, I always look back from when I started as an interim coach. And I think I took over when the team was 14th with 2 points above relegation. And we in that season, and it was only about 7 games to go, and we finished 7th. And the following season, when I was appointed, full time, we got into the MTN 8 final, and we lost it on penalties to Cape Town City, and we finished 6th. And this is my 2nd season, and where we also got to the MTN 8 final, and we won it, and we currently 3rd. So for me, when I look back, I see progress. That's the most important thing. And if you look at the team which I took over, and from the team which I have now, is a huge difference. A lot of players have left, and we brought in a lot of young players. For me, that's what I look at. And if I want to look at myself and I judge myself, I look at those things. And this season, I want to try and finish as high as we can, better than last season. And that's the only thing that we can, try and do, because this is a building phase. If you look at the team that got into the Confed Cup final, that team was very experienced. And that team, most of those players are no longer, with us. And we are in a rebuilding phase. And it's also been made worse with the pandemic, where there's not a lot, a huge budget for us to look at. So we have to find ways, but still be competitive and bring in young players. That's what I've been preaching, that we need to bring in young players who are very competitive, who've got hunger and desire to succeed, because we still want to improve. I think if I look at this team, probably into the next 2-3 seasons, we should be fighting for the league. And if you look at it also, the past 2 seasons, we have not been very far off in terms of the league. We've always been close, but we haven't even really brought in a lot of players. If you look at it last season, we only brought in Kabuza, Kalinge, and Mahachi. And Kalinge was on a free. Ndivuo was also on a free. So we cut in the budget, but at the same time staying competitive. And I can see this team growing, because I believe in building. That's my mentality. And I can see that in the next 2-3 seasons, I think we will be able to challenge. The first question regarding Dean, I think in all these years, the last 5 years since Dean arrived, we have built our team around him, because he's been a true SuperSport United player. That we can always look back and tell the young players that this is how a SuperSport United player behaves. And I think Dean has done that, and it's a huge loss for us as a team. But at the same time, I always try and look at the positives. Like you mentioned a lot of young players who have been training alongside Dean, playing alongside Dean, seeing how a professional player behaves in terms of training, attitude towards matches. He never gave you. He's one player who never cheated us. All these 5 years, I will never come up and say that this day Dean never did this. He ended those 5 years with us, and we really appreciate that. But I look at it and say, okay, if you have someone like Dean, and you have all these youngsters, and the youngsters which you've mentioned only Sipombule and Tebza, but there's also Jesse Don, who plays the same role as Dean, and he's also worked alongside Dean. He's learned, he's seen how Dean took care of himself, and I think this is an opportunity for those young players, especially in the last 6 games, for them to raise their hands. Jamie, he hasn't been, although he's a very good player, but hasn't been consistent, and that's one thing you always find with young players. And there's also Jesse Don, who's also a very good player, who's played in the Nedbank Cup when he was at Ubuntu and did very well there. So I'm looking forward to see him grabbing that opportunity as well, and see what he can do in the next 6 games. So those are the opportunities we are trying to create, because probably Jean could have been a block in front of them, but that block is no longer there. So let's see how are they going to be able to cope. It's the same thing that happened to players like Tuso, James Keane, Morgan Gold. When they left, they were like blockers in front of the young players. So when they left, that's when the Sipom Bullies, Teboho, they started, coming out of their shell and playing, regularly. So that's the same thing which I feel that might happen, the departure of Jim Fairman. Now, the second one, was it about the young players? Look, for me, the reason why I want to give opportunities to the young players is because I spent more years in the academy, and I've seen a lot of talent where from 17, players do disappear because of lack of opportunity. So they get demoralized, they lose, hope, they start doing other things because they don't see a future in terms of, breaking, to the next level, because the next level is very key. I've seen a lot of quality players, young, good players from under 15, but as soon as they get to 17, 18, 19, they disappear because of lack of, opportunities. And I would want to open that for them. But at the same time, it's not about just giving youngsters opportunities. It's about giving the right youngsters opportunity, the ones who would want, to grab those opportunities, and the ones who want to make a career in football. But you need a different kind of a player, because at the same time you are expected to win, because this is a business. It's about winning, and I would want to do that and give them that opportunity, and be brave enough to give them that opportunity. But at the same time, giving that opportunity to the right youngsters. And for me, I'm a very practical person. When I say I'm a practical person, I'm someone who's very good on the field. I like coaching. So when you like coaching, sometimes you wanna, grab that raw talent and polish it and release it. And that's who I am, because I like coaching. I like to be on the field, and I like to improve the players, on the field as well. So that's the reason why I also want to give them that opportunity. And coming to Pitso, I think Pitso is one person who's really inspired me. I think in terms of mentality as a player, I think I had the same mentality with him, when he was coaching me, because he was very ambitious, and he's one coach who always wanted to win, and he would do anything for him to get what he wants, and he very hardworking. And he taught me how to analyze matches when I was still playing, because he would call me, hey, go and watch that and record that tape in that game. I need you to watch 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how I learned how to analyze matches. And I was still playing. And it was also easy for me to also relay, the message, to the other players, because he would come to my place and we would talk football. Him and Thomas Maria, and he's so rest in peace. They played a huge role in me becoming a coach, because I think I started coaching. They started preparing me when I was already playing for me to be a coach. So he's one person I will always support, because I know sometimes he's also a little bit misunderstood, because he's ambitious. He wants to achieve things. He wants to be the best. And I'm not surprised with where he is at the moment, because I saw it. I remember when he was assistant coach to Bruce, we were fighting relegation at that moment. And the bosses came to address us. And I think they took long, and we were training already. And after training, and after the bosses had addressed us, Bruce just said, nah, no, we wanted to cancel training. Coach Pizzo cried there on the training field. No, we need to train. He cried straight away because for him it became so personal because that's why when a lot of players don't last with him because if you are not really committed, you've got no chance. You can't be in his team. You can't work with him. That's how he is.
Well, Coach.
I think also that's a very important question, and I think if you look at our squad, we've got quite a few players who play multiple positions, and Aubrey is one of those ones who can play left back, who can play left inside midfield, and he can play left wide. He can play on the right, cutting inside, like the Mares role, playing on the right but cutting inside. But Aubrey's biggest strength is he's got balls in him and he's very creative. And for me, I can only play Aubrey if I'm really desperate. If I play him at left back, I'll be desperate. Probably there's no one. But if I have a left back, I won't play Aubrey at left back because I think he's got qualities that he wins you matches, and that's what you need. You need players who can win you matches, and he's got that. He's got goals in him. Last season, I think he scored 9 goals. And this season, although he's played half a season because he's been, struggling with injuries, but he's already scored 5 goals, and he's a left winger. So that says a lot about him in a team, that he can be very influential because he can be very effective because he wins you games. And even when he plays left back, his role is to go forward. And when he goes forward, he still creates. And that's what you need. And if he is closer to the goals, Aubrey will give you goals. So for me, I'll always try and make sure that I have a left back and play him a little bit high up, so that he can create and be more effective for the team. Well, Ikram, it's very difficult to find players who can score goals. If you look at it in the NFD, he scored close to 20-something goals, and that says a lot about him. And he's also quick, very good on 1 versus 1. He can play on the right, he can play on the left, he can play on the center. With us playing with 3 attackers, he'll fit perfectly well with us. If you look at it as well, Bradley can play on the left, he can play center, he can play on the right. Evans can play center, can play on the left, can play on the right. So those are the type of players which we're looking for, who can play multiple, positions, so that we can be able to interchange, positions even during the game. And that's the reason why we brought him here. And he's gonna join us probably, early, so that he gets, an opportunity to get used to our environment, get used on the way we do things, so that by the time we get to next season, he was already one of us. For us, sometimes we tend to believe that coaching is for us to come here and we talk nice things, but there is more to coaching than that, because, like you said, 80% is man management. Because irrespective of what you do, when you manage your squad and you manage the players, you manage the technical team, and you manage everyone who's involved with the club very well, you will be a success. They will follow you. But you might be knowledgeable, but if you don't know how to manage the team, to manage your staff, they're not going to follow you. And you will always struggle. So man management is very key. It's very important. And sometimes you've got to be, psychologists. Sometimes you've got to understand each and every player and each and every staff member, each and every technical team member. You have to understand them. You have to give them, that power, for them to work for you, because you need them. And they'll go, through a wall for you. And it's not only the players. If I look at it now, during this pandemic, I've got a group of fitness trainers who are waking me up at 4 a.m. They are already working. And it's because I've given them that responsibility. They own that space. It's their space. They only report to me, but at the same time, I give them, an opportunity to make mistakes as well and learn from those mistakes, because that's their job. And for a young coach, it's very important to learn, to understand those things. And I think that's where Stuart Baxter came in, for me, in terms of, that approach. I was also All-Stein, that it's my way or the highway. But in football, it doesn't work like that. Because you also have to understand that you've got club owners, and you've got to put them in there as well. So you've got to manage the egos. There are a lot of things that you need to manage, and for you to be successful in coaching.